That was fun, wasn't it? For like the first time in what feels like an absolute lifetime, that was a fun Tottenham performance to watch. Welcome back to a day after the game before, where we're going to be discussing Tottenham 5, Charlton Athletic 1. Now, before I get started, I will address the fact that it was a Charlton team that was also heavily rotated. I think they made 10 changes from the weekend, and I think they still ended up with 2 big injuries, which is really unfortunate for them. So, like I said in my TikTok video, this is not me getting ahead of myself. This is not me saying that we're prime Barcelona. But for once, it's nice to enjoy a Tottenham performance, and we haven't had that very much in the last 2 years, so I'm going to enjoy it. First, I want to talk about Matheus Fernandes. I feel like this was the first sort of performance of him where you go, that is what we paid for. That is the player that we knew we got from West Ham, because he was absolutely unbelievable. His range in passing, whether it be like, the short zippy passes, the give and goes, or like the cross-field diags, are just always unbelievable. I actually found it quite funny. If you listen to De Zerbi's interview on Spurs Play After, he actually said that he got a bit annoyed with him because he was losing the ball too much, or like taking too many touches, I think, which I didn't see, but obviously I'm not as highly analytical as De Zerbi is. But I thought last night, Matheus Fernandes absolutely ran the show. Got a nice assist for Danso's goal. Obviously, it was a free kick and a cross in, but he was just absolutely everywhere. And I think very quickly, we are going to depend on this man with our lives, because he is a level above anything we've had in the midfield, especially in terms of passing, in a very long time. So hopefully the fact we didn't play him against Brentford was more a fitness thing, a building minutes, and hopefully we can see him starting that game on Saturday with Tonali. Bergvall is still looking very suspect to me at the moment, especially when we try and play him in that 8 role. Take Bergvall's yellow card. As soon as he is chasing the game, as soon as the ball has got past him, you know exactly what he's going to do. And bear in mind, don't get me wrong, Charlton were advancing on our goal, but it wasn't like it was like a God-given chance. And you just knew he was going to wipe him out, and you knew he was going to get booked. I don't want to spend too long being negative, but Lucas Bergvall's really frustrating me at the moment, because he's not providing anything new. He's very, he likes to try and play out when he shouldn't. He runs around a lot, but he also makes rash challenges a lot. But that is by the by. My overall take was that Matheus Fernandes absolutely bossed that midfield yesterday, and I can't wait to see him more, especially if he can be partnered with Sandro Tonali, because I think that relationship has, all the traits of each of them to work perfectly on paper. Second performance I want to talk about was Mikey Moore. Now, for the first 20 minutes, I was getting so annoyed with him. I actually tweeted that he always makes the wrong decision, because in the first sort of 20-25 minutes, there was 3 or 4 times where he was played down that right-hand side. And whether he held on to it for too long, crossed when he should have slid someone else in, or vice versa, he was making the wrong decisions, and it was really starting to frustrate me, because the game was cagey for the first sort of 25 minutes, half an hour. And Mikey Moore had some good chances to open the game up. I think there was one chance where just before he scored, where he should have cut it back to Bergvall, and he didn't. But then he goes and scores an absolute banger. And from that point, they couldn't get near him. Mikey Moore, I think, is one of the biggest confidence players we've had in a while. And I need, De Zerbi, or if he does go on loan, wherever they play him, before the game, just play him some diss tracks, just hype him up, just get him believing in himself, because once he has that, he's unstoppable. He's not the quickest, but they couldn't get him off the ball. He's very difficult to dispossess cleanly, and that showed last night, and that is the Mikey Moore that we know that we have. But unfortunately, until we get that goal out of him, we don't see that side of him. So we just need to try and make him, show him that he can do that before a goal. He can make the right decisions. He can take his man on. He can beat a few players. Because before that goal, he was looking, real lacking of any confidence. But overall, a really good performance from Mikey Moore, bar that first 20 minutes when I wanted to grab him and shake him. But very nice. I'd imagine he will still go out on loan, but I really want to see him in that 10 role. I don't think he's sort of got the pace or the dynamism to be a winger. But in that 10 role where he can sort of, move his feet quickly, give and go passes, I think he can be really effective. So whoever does get him on loan, I hope that's something that they experiment with. Next player I want to talk about is Dominic Solanke. What a massive difference it makes having Solanke up top to Richarlison. And this isn't to dog on Richarlison, but you could just see the levels in hold-up play was so much more effective. He was actually standing his man up. He wasn't flopping to the floor. He was doing some nice give and goes. And sometimes he even took it himself and went round the player to then pass out wide. The difference it made was monumental. And I know a lot of people have written Solanke off. His injury record is frustrating. I'm not doubting that. But when he is in the team, he is better for us than Richarlison. Especially with our new wingers, he can actually bring the wingers into the game. Because before, there had to be like high and wide, or Richarlison's touch would bounce off him and then nothing would come from it. Solanke has the control, he has the the presence and the footwork to bring that ball in and then bring the wingers into play, which is going to be so much more effective for us. And he got a goal. I think Richarlison's more likely to get you a goal than Solanke at the moment. Call it rust or whatever. But Solanke's ability to bring other people into the fold is tenfold that of Richarlison. And I just pray that he can keep fit. And especially if we bring Marmoush in, because everyone hates it, but obviously, like, Marmoush is that 9.5. Do you know what I mean? He's not an out-and-out striker, but if you give Solanke to play off him, the combinations them two could have could be so nice. And I think Marmoush is going to be announced today at some point. So if we can partner them two together, I think it would be really, really good. And last off, you can't talk about that game without talking about Savio. What an unbelievable debut for him. Yes, it was Charlton and whatever, but he just gets you out of your seat when he has the ball. He just looks like he wants to take his man on. Yesterday, he was full of confidence. Again, that might have been due to the opposition that we were facing and the fact that it was his debut. But because Tottenham fans know how much he wanted to play for the club, he already has the buy-in from the fans. And you could tell that last night. They were singing his name even before he scored. And I think that is one of the biggest things for him in terms of he just needs an arm round him. Do you know what I mean? And if we as fans can provide that, then I think we'll be better for it, because he came on last night, he was taking on his man every time he could, he was releasing Pedro Porro into, the avenues. He is going to be a very good player for us. I really do think that. And what a way to, cap off your debut. A goal, an assist, technically a goal, but I'm here for it. Wingers that get you out of your seat is something we haven't had in a long time at Tottenham, and I think Savio is going to be the remedy for that. Now, of course, we drew Liverpool in the next round, like it's typical, and unfortunately, we never win at Anfield. We just don't. It doesn't matter how bad they are, it doesn't matter how good we are, we don't win at Anfield. But, this isn't the Liverpool of old. They're going for a transition similar to us, and, maybe a couple of weeks down the line, we're looking like a much more steady team. So I'm not sort of optimistic, but what can you do? Our luck with our draws has been terrible in the Cup for the last few years, and this is just another example. But last night was more about, minutes in the legs, relationships gelling, and forgetting about Saturday. And we ticked all boxes. It was annoying to concede at the end. We can never just have a clean sheet and have a nice, tidy performance. But, we can't be too greedy at this point. And now it's on to Newcastle on Saturday, which is going to be a really, really tough game. I'm not overlooking them whatsoever. So we'll be back on Sunday for our reaction. Hopefully it's a good one. I quite like doing good, match reactions, but we'll see. Let me know in the comments if there was anyone I missed, any performances that stood out to you. Good to get minutes in the legs for like Van der Ven and Porro. Good to see them back. But I think I've covered pretty much everything. If you could like the video, comment and subscribe, that would be amazing. I'm really close to 400 subscribers, which would be really, really nice to hit. So thank you, and I'll see you on Sunday.